Hello, you beautiful nerds! How have we all been doing these past few weeks? I'm happy to greet you all to a wonderful spooky season. Yes, it being October now, we are officially in the scariest time of the year. And what better way to celebrate than by looking at the king of slasher villains, Freddy Krueger. Oh, I know people are going to be commenting about that. Anyway, if you don't know who Freddy Krueger is, what are you doing watching this channel? Right, so let's recap regardless. It may have been a while since you guys have seen the films. Just in case, also, if you're not familiar, Freddy Krueger is a fictional slasher villain created by Wes Craven, who wrote and directed A Nightmare on Elm Street, released under New Line Cinema in 1984. This movie was supposed to be New Line's last film before they went bankrupt. The problem was that audiences f***ing loved this movie, and with good reason. This resulted in a shit ton of sequels, each varying at a different quality and entertainment level. Freddy Krueger is played by Robert Englund, who kills it.
I've been guarding my gate for a long time, bitch.
But the character himself, Freddy Krueger, Freddy is quite a naughty boy. He was a child murderer who, after getting arrested, was set free on a technicality of not being read his rights properly, and the parents of these dead children weren't exactly happy about this. So they go to his hideout and set the motherfucker on fire. But then he gets greeted by weird sperm demons, and they grant him the ability to be a dream demon? It's all quite vague. Anyway, he gets dream powers and eventually has the ability to taunt and murder his victims in their sleep. And what does he do? Go after the surviving children of Elm Street, of course. Serial killer doing what he does best, I guess. The movies then detail all of Freddy's murderous adventures, each installment getting wilder and, regrettably, goofier.
Bon appetit, bitch.
By the end, Freddy is a goddamn Looney Tune. Anyway, as per video essay, I'm obligated to actually analyze this bitch. I've already talked about the elephant in the room, Nightmare 2 being very gay, we know. I'm more going to focus on Freddy's influence as a campy slasher villain, similar to how I analysed the vampire a couple weeks back. Freddy Krueger is a bad man. Do I need to tell you that? He is a child murderer, a serial killer, yet we as a culture have come to terms with that and accepted him for who he is. There are countless numbers of merchandise done for this character, but at the end of the day, he is still a child murderer. Now, why do we as a group of horror film nerds just accept the fact that we are literally praising the existence of a fictional serial killer? The answer is very simple, actually, because we are aware that he is fictional. Make-believe, and because he's charismatic, his design iconic. And to be honest with you, horror films have their own nerdy obsessive subgroups that idolize these films. I'm one of them. Like mentioned before, Freddy is charismatic. Your eyes are glued to him every time he's on screen. He wasn't intended to be as campy as he eventually became, but the idea of dark humor on his end was always there. His taunting, murderous nature plays so well in contrast to the teens that are taking him incredibly seriously, as they should. It is only their lives that are at stake. Freddy becomes more and more campy with each installment, and from Nightmare 4, he only ever speaks in one-liners. New Line Cinema saw an opportunity to market Freddy to the masses, and they took it. This increases his campiness over time as his murders become more and more humorous. Freddy essentially got controlled by the masses, and this isn't highlighted better than in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. This is where we see the absurdity of idolizing a serial killer actually be put to screen from an everyday perspective. Freddy has many instances of his campness, like I've said, much more in the later films. One of these films where he's the least campy, interestingly enough, is Freddy's Revenge. Yes, the gayest one. Interesting contrast, no? Freddy's campy behaviour as he murders the teens of Elm Street is in large part to Robert Englund's performance. He's so captivating and energetic, and he plays Freddy very camp, actually. I think it's not a hot take to say that Freddy is as popular as he is due to Englund's performance, and also in large part to the fact that the concept of Nightmare on Elm Street is quite unique, and Freddy's character design. You know, a lot of things actually play into this. But why do we, as an audience, enjoy this campy character? Well, the juxtaposition of brutal murder and quipping has always had its charm, hasn't it? Freddy is known for joking during his murders, saying one-liners. He's kind of like the Arnold or Stallone of horror movies. Freddy's brutal murdering happening in the reality is overshadowed by the excessive and impressive ways that he kills his victim. The set pieces of his murders is a large part of what makes these kills fresh and intriguing. One of my personal favourites is where Freddy makes puppet strings out of a kid's veins. Completely brutal and unnecessary, but doesn't make for a cool visual. Yes! It's funny because Freddy's character has really gone through an emotional roller coaster. He went from being very serious to even more serious, just a little gay maybe, to serious in a religious sense, but also quippy, to exclusively talking in one-liners, yet still being somewhat of a threat, to a mistreated bastard child, Looney Tunes character, weird meta demon, back to serious but quippy, and finally, a child molester.
You think you could turn back time?
What an emotional rollercoaster indeed. It's important to kind of talk about the remake a little bit, where they made Freddy an actual kiddie fiddler. That was kind of implied in the original films, but it was never stated. He was only ever called a child murderer. In the remake, they actually go all out and just say that he touched kids, and I just don't like that about Freddy at all. It makes him cross a line. You know, murdering kids is one thing. Touching them inappropriately? Not for me. Anyway, if you liked this very short and sweet video exploring the character of Freddy Krueger, then please hit me into the dream world so I don't have to think about real life. That would be very refreshing for me, actually. And please subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date and catch all of my weird and humorous, dry videos. Like the video, subscribe, and please comment on which one is your favorite Freddy. If you say the remake, I'm deleting the comment.